In 2024, the U.S. presidential election is drawing worldwide attention, including in China, where the election and its candidates are viewed through a distinct lens. China, with its large population and diverse social strata, harbors a wide range of opinions about American politics, particularly regarding the potential return of Donald Trump to the White House. This article seeks to analyze the general sentiments of the Chinese populace toward the 2024 U.S. election and Trump's possible return, focusing on different groups within Chinese society and their unique perspectives. The majority of Chinese citizens, roughly 600 to 800 million people, live with limited knowledge about international politics, including the U.S. political system. This is primarily due to the lack of access to diversified information and long-standing limitations in the flow of uncensored foreign news in China. These citizens, largely from rural areas or lower-income urban communities, are not politically engaged and possess little to no understanding of the complexities surrounding the U.S. election process or the policy differences between candidates. For many of these individuals, America represents a distant, powerful entity, but its politics remain a vague abstraction. As such, they may only know of Trump or other U.S. leaders through state media reports, social media snippets, or simplified narratives presented by Chinese commentators. For them, the nuances of U.S. political dynamics, including the role of the President, Congress, or Supreme Court, are not significant. Thus, their opinions on the 2024 election are either indifferent or influenced by the national media, which often portrays U.S. politics as chaotic or dysfunctional. In contrast to the politically indifferent majority, China's growing middle class is more informed, open-minded, and aware of global events. This group, often composed of entrepreneurs, professionals, and academics, has benefited greatly from China's economic reforms and its increasing integration into the global economy. While they may not have a detailed understanding of the policy positions of U.S. candidates like Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, they remember Trump's presidency vividly and have strong opinions about his potential return to power. For many politically aware Chinese citizens, Trump's return to the presidency is viewed as a double-edged sword, with both positive and negative implications for China. On the one hand, Trump's presidency could further weaken the United States. During his first term, Trump's leadership style, characterized by populism and division, intensified polarization within American society. If re-elected, many Chinese believe that Trump's policies could deepen these divisions, possibly leading to domestic instability, such as widespread protests, governmental gridlock, or even small-scale insurrections. This could weaken the U.S. internally, reducing its global influence and creating opportunities for China to expand its influence internationally. For example, during Trump's first term, his America First policies alienated traditional U.S. allies in Europe and Asia, weakening transatlantic cooperation and destabilizing long-standing alliances like NATO. If Trump returns, many Chinese expect him to continue on this path of isolationism, prioritizing American domestic concerns over international leadership. Such a shift would likely diminish U.S. influence in global institutions and reduce its capacity to counter China's rise. As one Chinese analyst put it, a divided America is less able to contain China, echoing the sentiment that Trump's return could accelerate China's ascendancy on the world stage. On the other hand, many Chinese fear the immediate negative consequences of a second Trump administration. Trump is remembered for his aggressive trade war with China, during which he imposed tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods. This trade conflict hurt many Chinese businesses, particularly those in the manufacturing sector that rely heavily on exports to the U.S. If Trump were to regain the presidency, many Chinese expect him to swiftly reimpose tariffs and other trade restrictions, potentially crippling sectors of China's economy. Moreover, Trump has been openly critical of China on a range of issues, from trade practices to human rights, and it is widely expected that his return would bring about renewed geopolitical tension. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine and the instability in the Middle East could be swiftly overshadowed by Trump's focus on containing China's global influence. His administration might seek to build a broad coalition of countries, particularly in the Indo-Pacific region, to counter China's rise, heightening the risk of a new Cold War-style standoff between the two superpowers. One key example of this is the Trump administration's ban on Chinese telecommunications giant Huawei. This move, part of a broader effort to limit China's access to advanced technology, sent shockwaves through the Chinese tech industry. Many middle-class Chinese, particularly those with a stake in technology or manufacturing, worry that a second Trump presidency could lead to even harsher restrictions on Chinese access to high-tech products, thereby stalling China's own technological advancements. Trump's protectionist agenda, which favors bringing manufacturing back to the U.S., could also pose a long-term threat to China's status as the world's manufacturing hub. Ideological conflict and populism. Ideologically, Trump and his administration are closely associated with right-wing populism, a political movement that resonates with many rural, working-class Americans but is viewed with suspicion by many Chinese intellectuals. Trump's populism, while effective in rallying his voter base, is seen as irrational and dangerous by many Chinese observers who favor a more pragmatic and rational approach to governance. In their eyes, Trump's policies are often driven by short-term electoral gains rather than long-term strategic planning. Although Trump may temper his policies to suit the practicalities of governing, as many Chinese analysts predict, the deep ideological differences between the Trump administration and China will likely remain. Under Trump, the U.S. could continue to intensify ideological confrontations with China, particularly on issues related to governance, human rights, and freedom of speech. Trump's hardline stance on these issues during his first term was a source of great tension between the two nations, and many Chinese fear that his return would lead to a further deterioration in U.S.-China relations. In summary, Chinese perspectives on the 2024 U.S. presidential election and the possibility of Trump's return to power are deeply divided. For the politically unaware majority, the election may pass without much notice or concern. However, for China's middle class and political elites, Trump's return represents both an opportunity and a challenge. His policies could weaken the U.S. internally, giving China more room to maneuver on the global stage. At the same time, a more aggressive trade and technology war under Trump could harm China's economy and its aspirations for global leadership. While the future remains uncertain, one thing is clear: the 2024 U.S. presidential election will have significant implications for U.S.-China relations, regardless of who wins. For the Chinese public, the stakes are high, and Trump's potential return to the White House is viewed with both cautious optimism and deep concern.